Hello all and welcome to our Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and I'm coming to you today with part 2 of our granny square scarf, and that's all about joining our squares together and getting ready for our border round. Now the video did go a long time, so I decided to cut it 3/4 of the way and do the border round on Monday. All right, but as you can see, it's all complete, and if you wanted to have a look at the border round, I hope I'm not too close to the camera there, but we do have some little tiny little waves, as you can see, and around the join area we've left it straight, but in between each square we have kind of a raise. All right, so a very special thank you to the lovely Anne McC and Green Butterfly for their colour combinations today. And also Anne decided that we shouldn't actually have 2 little squares. Instead, we should have 1 big square per colour. I love the idea of it, and there you go. Anyway, I'm not going to hold you up anymore. You will need your 4mm crochet hook or whatever hook you used to create your squares. Use the same one. You'll need your sewing needle, you'll need your scissors, and you'll probably need about 6-7 stitch markers, although you may not need them until you do the border round on Monday from memory. But anyway, stitch markers if you don't have them, hairpins, safety pins, a piece of thread, whatever you have in stock. Thank you for joining us. Let's head over to the workstation and complete part 2 of today's Granny Square Stash Busting Scarf. All right, before we go on, this is an optional step and it's up to you if you like to do this, but I'm going to be washing and blocking all 10 of my squares before I do anything else. I did want to show you why I think washing and blocking is important. A lot of people don't do it, and if you don't want to do it, by all means, you don't have to. But let me show you our current project that we're working on. Having a look at these 2 squares, if you were to look carefully at them, you could tell the difference between a washed and blocked square. Let's get a close-up and move everything out the way. You could tell the difference. Now, these squares, I made them at the same time. The only difference is I washed and blocked one of them and not the other. They are made with the same hook. They are made exactly the same way, but I washed and blocked one. 2 things you can tell it's been washed and blocked. One thing already you can tell, it kind of sits really badly, like it sits all out of shape, and you can tell that's, even if you pushed it down, that still lifts up. And you can also tell that because we're working on taller stitches in the corner and smaller down here, that this even looks taller when it's not. It's actually straightening up the round sunflower that it was. Oh, by the way, if you're wanting to make this project, we are in the process of joining our squares. This is an annual project, so you probably won't finish it until around November, December of this year, but it's a little bit of a fun project that we do once a year. We pick something, and this little jacket that we're making here, the Sunflower Delight jacket that we're making, is going to be our annual project. So I've left a link to the annual project in the description box down below. It's called the Sunflower Delight jacket. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Just to show you that the other main reason I wash and block is because when you're working with colour, occasionally, depending on who colour dyed your yarn, if it was hand dyed, and occasionally that colour could run into the next. I've never had it happen, but it can happen. So that does happen. So what I do, and I'll show you in 1 second. All right, what I have here is a 7-litre tub. It's about, I don't know, let me bring it up. There you go, I'm trying to get it into frame, okay? But it's enough for me to fit my squares. The main reason I like to wash and block is to stop colour dye from running. In this tub is 10 cups. I had to think about how many I put in. 10 cups of mild, warm, tepid water. Actually, it's come down to a little bit of a cooler temperature now, but it doesn't matter. You could use cold water if you wanted to. Just make sure you use a little bit of, I'm trying to get it into the frame, white vinegar. Very little, because what it does is, once you mix a little bit of white vinegar, notice I'm only putting, I don't know, it might be like a tablespoon worth. if you think about it, tablespoon worth, in 10 cups of water. You could put a little bit more, it's not going to hurt. It will stop. Oops, I forgot to stir it up. Stir it up, guys. Don't just leave it there, stir it up. It will stop the colour dyes from running into your colours. Look at that pink. Look at the green, the pink. Uh-oh, I'm going to pop white in there as well. Why not? Let's pop another white. Let's pop a blue, just for fun. Another blue, and here it comes. The dark colour. That could run into your white. It could run into your light blue. It could look really bad. But if you pop a little tiny bit of white vinegar in your water and you give it a stir, I didn't put a lot this time, so hopefully it works. And I don't end up with colour dye running. It doesn't normally happen. To be fair, I don't think it's ever happened, right? But you don't want to take that risk, do you? Right? And it depending on, again, who colour dyed your pieces. So just keep tossing, toss, making sure all that water is inside your pieces. Now, if you want, it's entirely up to you, you can lay them flat. You can do that, it's fine. But make sure that you have popped water through all your pieces, okay? And make sure that you have a little tiny bit of vinegar in your water, just plain white vinegar, nothing fancy, yeah? And it will stop any colour dye from running into your squares, all right? You've got white in there, and then you've got these really dark colours, and I know that the reds have had a habit of, the dye from the reds have had a habit of running into your work. All right, so that's about it, guys. Once you have your squares all inside that water, make sure it's all down in the water. You can, if you want, come back in half an hour and, turn them over if you like, entirely up to you. I have done that in the past if the yarn is a real itchy yarn. This yarn's not too bad, so I'm going to leave it in the water. Because also, guys, that's another thing the vinegar does for your squares in the water. It actually can soften up the yarn, which is fantastic. Leave your squares in the water like that. Come back here in about an hour's time for me, or a second for you, really, if you think about it, and we will talk about what we're going to do with our squares. All right, do that now, and I'll meet you back here in a second for you, but an hour for me. So here we are an hour later. In my case, it's an hour and a half because I forgot all about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pin one square together, and then you're going to head off on your own and do the rest. All right, so just grab one square, whichever that may be. I'm grabbing the green just to keep in sync with what we've been working with. We've been working on the green. So just give it a gentle squeeze. Don't squeeze it that way. Just squeeze it with your hand and place it on a towel. Now, you can use whatever towel you like. I've just got this really old towel, and I mean really old. We're not even going to go into how old this towel is, right? So that's the deal. You pop it over your piece like that, there, and you just give it a gentle squeeze. You really don't have to go into it, but if you really want to get rid of the excess water, squeeze it as much as you can. Don't twist it, because you'll be twisting your square, and it does put a bit of strain on the square when you twist. So just give it a squeeze. Usually I have all the squares in this towel and I pop on top of it and squish it down with my tummies. Anyways, there you go. How naughty am I? All right, then you open it up. Let's move the water out the way. All right, I just moved that water out the way so that we can pop it on a blocking mat. Now, if you don't have a blocking mat, pop it on your towel. You don't have to pop it on a mat. You can have it on a towel. Now, this mat here, this is a workout mat. It's where I do my aerobics and walking workouts and gym workouts. I do it on this mat, all right? So, well, I do it on, I've got more, but I do it on the mats. So grab all the pins that you need. Now, the amount of pins you put in is entirely up to you, but your best bid, because you're going to have a few squares, is to pop yours on the corner. Let's just assume mine's in the corner. I'll change it in a minute. I can't fit the corners in, but let's just assume it's on the corner, right on the edge, as close to the corner as you can get. All right, so grab your sewing needle, not your sewing needle, your pin. Hello, Mary, come on. Grab your pin and pop it on any corner of your square and pop it down like so. Grab another pin and just pop it down the base of your square, keeping it as straight as you can. Let me bring this out a little more so you can see what I'm doing. And then grab your other pins. Now there's no right or wrong way of doing this. Just pop them. Ow. Don't pin yourself. Mary. Pop them. You can do 4, you can do 5, you can do 6, you can do 9. You can do as many as you like, keeping your square straight. Yeah. By the time you get down here, you realise that's not exactly taut enough. So you give it a nice little stretch. Move this guy over. Yeah, I think that's way too many pins. I'm just going to move them over a little bit like that. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Doesn't have to be 7, can be 8, can be 6, can be 5, 2, whatever. Don't make it 2. It's a big square. Make it a bit more than 2. All right. So what we want to do now is, let's just move some stuff out the way. There we go. Just, let's get a close up again. Grab, just drop my scissors. Grab your next side like that and pop it in the corner first, making sure you're keeping this guy straight. You can do the same. 8 pins across, whatever. 7, 6, 8, 4, it doesn't matter. Yeah, there's no right or wrong way of doing this. So that's pretty much it. That's all you need to do for washing and blocking your squares. All right. Here I have all my squares pinned down. And as you can see, I'm about to pin down the little squares that we have for our annual project, the jacket. Now, if you are not making our jacket, guys, we have these gorgeous little squares that you have here. I'm leaving a link to the jacket in the description box down below, and you can create those squares as well and start creating our jacket. Now, our jacket is an annual project, so you'll have plenty of time to create the squares and catch up with us. All right, but here's our squares pinned down. Now the next time you see me, it will be in 6 seconds for you and overnight for me. Alrighty guys, 24 hours later, and all of my squares are dry. Not just dry, they're super soft as well. I love popping vinegar in the water. But anyway, for those of you who didn't wash and block, doesn't matter. We're going to move right along. I've had people ask me in the past why I leave tails on my last round and don't weave them in. Is because I like to crochet over them first, then weave them in through. Now this is a little tip I put in all my tutorials, but a lot of people don't like the idea of it. When I'm weaving my ends in through a corner stitch, I'm not just weaving it in through the crochet that I just made. I literally split the threads inside of the green with the colour on top, and I'll show you that later what I mean. But I can't show you usually because the colour is on top. Let's assume the dark grey is on top and I'm weaving in that last green thread. I go through the dark grey and I actually split the green threads. Now I know a lot of crocheters say that's an absolute no-no. I've always done it. Don't tell anyone. Shh, our secret. All right, in the meantime, let's get our colours ready for, I don't know, how you want to set them up. How do you want your colours to go? Initially, I wanted mine, and I think I mentioned it in the beginning of the tutorial or another tutorial, I can't remember, going up like that in sync. But I've changed my mind since, because I realised if I did that all the way through to all the colours, then one of the colours, whether it be the watermelon or the pink or something, will be up the top, behind your neck and not visible. So what I thought instead, which I think is a little bit much more of a clever idea, I mean, I don't know, sometimes I like to think I'm clever, but not always, popping one colour, and you can use any colour you want, and then a different colour, and then a different colour, but they're staying the same way like this all the way through like that. So by the time you get to your last colour here, you're starting the green again. So yes, your pink and your watermelon will be up the top. Let's just assume that's what you want. But by the time you get back down, you will start having your other colours that you can't see up the top down the base. Now it's entirely up to you how you want it done. I personally don't want the watermelon down the base because I like the watermelon. I want it showing kind of midway. That way it can be shown. But it doesn't matter. Really, it doesn't matter. I might just leave it the way it is, hey? What about that? How about that? I might just leave it this way. Although I wanted to separate the pinks. So this is the big choice of how you want colour. I'm going to pop this on fast so you can see me doing it on fast. And it'll just give me a moment to put my colours the way I want them on my scarf. All right, and off we go. I'm going to do it again because I wasn't happy with that. That's hilarious. One more time. All right, we're done. Well, that was a bit of a disaster. What I have is watermelon, green, white, pink, and blue. Watermelon, green, white, pink, and blue. So I'm starting at the base with my watermelon, white, green, pink, and blue, going around that way. By the time I get to the top, one of the colours will be hidden, but when you bring it around this way, it will be seen. So all of the colours will be seen. That's me being pedantic. You don't have to worry about that. All right, okay. So here we are. I've got mine on the right side, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's go back to when you were completing your round. You were on an even round. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. An even round, if we are turning every round, would have landed on the wrong side of your work, which was planned. It was either go to 8 rounds or go to 10 rounds and not do the odd round. Like 6, 8, 10, 12, then this is what I want you to do. We went to the end of the round and we, far away, the end of the round and we slip stitched to join. We would have flipped our work and chained up 3, which is exactly what we're going to do. Now I'm going to start in this corner just to show you what to do when you get to this corner. So I'm going to start in this corner. So what I want you to do now, because we're on this side of the work, flip your work. This is now the right side of your piece. How you can tell that very first round you did right there would be nice and even. Let's flip it. Whereas this side looks very bubbled. I hope that makes sense, but it doesn't matter anyway. Wherever you finished off, if you ended on an even round, flip your work, and that's exactly where we're going to start. All right, so what I want you to do is pop your hook in the corner before your thread, okay? If you've got a thread. If you haven't got a thread, it doesn't matter. This is just to show you what to do when we get there. So now you're going to grab your new colour, and you're going to pop it over the hook. We're so far away, Mary. Let's just do that. Pull your loop through like so. Grab your little tail and passing it forward in front. I'm going to give myself a little bit of tail to weave in and hold it there. Yeah. That will lock it into place. Pull a loop through, tighten that thread. Yeah. And then chain 2 more. 1, 2. All right. Grab your stitch marker, pop it in the top 2 loops of this stitch. I hope you can see this yarn, but this is the colour that was chosen by the subscribers. So let's pass that tail forward. We're going to crochet over that tail, and you're going to pop 2 double crochets in the corner, 1 and 2. Now normally we would have left it there and continued on and then come back and did your chain 2 and slip stitch to join at the end. We're not going to do that for this part of the tutorial, okay? We're going to chain 1 and 2 and continue our corner of 3 double crochets. all right, just for this part, because this is kind of like a final round thing, final, if you like that word. All right, grab your tail, pop it at the back like so, and your job here is to pop double crochet clusters in each space like you would do a normal round. So do your 3 double crochets in the next space. We're still not chaining, we're just doing double crochets. 1, 2 and 3, and then the next set, 1, 2 and 3, and then your next set, and so on. We're just going to pop this on fast until we get to that corner, and off we go. And 3 double crochets. All right, so what you have now is 1 corner, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cluster sets of your 3 double crochets. And now we're into that corner. We're doing a corner that ended with a tail. If you don't have your tail and you've weaved it in, that's good, yep. But for me, I've got a tail. So what I want to do is just make sure I go in the right corner and not in the slip stitched area. Yeah, I need to go right into that corner, and I'm going to crochet over the tail, and off I go, doing 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Turn your work. 3 double crochets in the same corner. You know the corner set. Nothing's changed with that. The corner set is 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets. US, that is. It's trebles in the UK. Yeah. All right, and that's pretty much it. From the corner, you're jumping into your first space with 3 double crochets. 2 and 3. All right, we're going to hold it there for a minute, and I'll give you some instructions. All right, so there you've done your first section. And I've run out of stitch markers because I'm using them for a lot of things. I've got this really, really old one. This is like, I don't know, 20 years old maybe, something like that. Okay, so we are here. This is what I want you to do. Go all the way to this corner and all the way to this corner. Don't complete it. Do your work right up to the space before the corner. Don't do the corner at all, because we're going to do that together. All right, so your job, which I'm going to get you to head off on your own doing, all your cluster sets across 1 corner, all your cluster sets across, get into that very second last space there, complete it, and wait for me there, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so I asked you to get to the stitch marker and not do the corner. All right, so let's take out this old stitch marker. It's very old. It's very old. Okay, so we're here. We're now going to hop into the corner, but you're only going to do 1 cluster set in that corner for now. So hop in there and do your 3 double crochets of 1 cluster set, if you will. Like so. We are not going to chain 1 and finish the corner and come down this way. We are going to ignore this side completely, and you're going to grab another square. All right, so with this square, I'm leaving the tail over there in the corner. Okay, because what I want to show you now is how to join this square to this square, and I don't want the tail in the way to annoy us. When we do that very next corner, we'll talk about the tail then. All right, but for now, let's just do this. Again, you're starting where, remember this, you worked along here, didn't you? Yes, well, you don't want to work along there, do you? You want to flip your work. Remember, we are flipping our work. All right, so flip that work because it's got to be the same. And you know what, to be fair, even if you didn't flip your work and you don't put them on the right side, it doesn't matter too much in this pattern because it's always backward and forward, backward and forward. We've been flipping on and off. So there's no real actual right side. I just like to work on the side that I started with as the right side. That's just in my head, okay? So flip your work, make sure that your tail is over there, and you're going to work along here now, just because the tail's in the way, not for any other reason. All right, before we did just the 3 double crochets, didn't we? Yeah, so nothing's changed, everything's the same there. What we want to do before we do anything is chain 1. Always chain 1 when we're just about to join to the next piece. All right, so what we're going to do now is pick up at the corner, and you're going to do a normal double crochet in that corner. So you do 1 double crochet in there, only 1 for now, like that. Pull up your loop. On this side, you have the chain that you just did and the stitch just before it. Pop your hook in that stitch. Pop the loop back on the hook, pull it tight a little bit, pull that loop through like so. You've joined 1. Yarn over your hook, double crochet in the same space. Try not to leave these stitches too loose and try not to do them too tight. Lift up the loop, move over to your work. I hope you can see this. And you're going right into the stitch of your 2nd double crochet. All right, and pull that loop through. Do your 3rd double crochet from that corner, like so. Pull up your loop, go into the 3rd stitch, which almost looks like it's the center space here. So go into that stitch, pop your loop on your hook, pull it through like so, and you have joined just the corner. Now what you want to do is hop into that next space. Double crochet into the next space, like normal. Pull up your loop. That's all you're doing differently here, is pulling up the loop, going into the very next stitch on the opposite side, pop the loop on the hook and pull it through like so. Now I'm going to get an even closer look at it for you because this is fairly dark. We're going to do our 2nd double crochet in the space, like so. Lift up your loop. There are your next 2 double crochets. You wanted to go into the 2nd one because we're on the 2nd stitch. Grab your loop and pull it through the stitch. Yarn over your hook into the space with your 3rd and final stitch for this space. Grab the very last stitch for this set on the other side and pull that loop through. Jump straight into the very next space. All right, so you aren't doing anything different except lifting the loop up after every stitch in every set. You are still putting 3 double crochets in your space, but you are lifting the loop and popping the hook in the opposite or corresponding stitch, if you want to call it that. Pop the loop on, pull the loop through, and do your 3rd and final stitch for that space. Pull up your loop over here, pull that loop through, and you start again. I'm just going to pop 1 in here and I'll show you what you've done. All right, let's try that again. That didn't come, that's better. All right, so what you've done is that. Make sure that loop is really tall, otherwise it'll come undone. All right, I'm going to get a nice close-up for you so you can have a look at it, but look at that gorgeous look. And it looks like you plan that each cluster set is opposite. Right now it looks like it's not going to make it because it looks like this, but once you get here and you go into that section, it all marries up. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this row, complete it until we get to the corner, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, and I may even pop some of it on fast, but not yet. I want you to see a few more of these pull throughs. Yeah, so you grab the loop on the other side. I lost it then. Grab that loop, pull it through. Yarn over your hook, do your 2nd double crochet, pull up a loop, corresponding second double crochet, pull it through. Third double crochet, pull up a loop, corresponding third double crochet. All right, super easy. Into the very next one. Whoops, I just split that yarn. Don't you love it? You don't want that. Pull it through, and the second one. Pull up that loop, pull it through, third one, and pull it through to your third corresponding side. All right, so I'm going to pop this part on fast until we get to that second last one, and I will meet you there in just a moment. Pull up that loop, let me bring this down a little, and continue going across, and off we go. I'm actually on that very last space. I forgot to stop and tell you about it, but continue your last space, just before the corner that is. Get to your very third stitch, oops, pull up the loop, go into the corresponding stitch there. Pull it through like so, and let's get a close-up right there. So now, what you've got is a corner left and your corner corresponding set left. You're going to start your first double crochet in that corner, go to the opposite corner corresponding first stitch, do a second double crochet, second corresponding stitch, do the third double crochet, pull up the loop, and the third corresponding final stitch. Mine was a little tight, but it's there. Okay, pulling it through. You haven't finished that corner yet. All right, what I want you to do before you continue is just make sure that everything looks pretty much straight. So make sure everything, oh, it's not even in frame, Mary, come on, you can do better than that, is nice and straight. All right, making sure you have 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 all the way across. Now we're here at the corner, and what we did is we did our 3 on one side, 3 on the other. We're chaining 1, we're pulling up our loop. We're not going to forget that corner. Pop your hook in the corner, grab the loop, pull it through the corner, chain 1. The first chain 1 acted as your first chain in the corner. The second one has acted as your second chain. Now you're going to go back into that corner that we first started with and do our 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And what you've done is you have turned your work. You are now officially going to be working along your green. You're going to get to this corner right here. Pop your stitch marker in there, by the way. And you are going to do the very next square. All right, now what I want you to do first is remember what we did with this corner right here. Yes, I want you to get to this corner, complete it, come over here and do your last set. When we return, we're going to talk about what's going to happen with these tails, and then we'll have full instructions of what we're going to do next. All right, so just do your double crochet sets in each space. Do your corner the way we did our corner here. Get to this corner right here, and I will meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of these squares. How gorgeous is that looking? I am loving the join, yeah? Before we do anything else, flip your work. I'm not going to show you a lot. I'm going to show you 1 or 2 things to do, and then you're going to head off on your own and do it. But firstly, let's go to the very first, look at that, thread is so frayed. That's from washing and blocking, yeah. Go to the very first thread you did. If you haven't got threads, just go to that time up there now and meet us there. But if you've got a thread like me, then this is what I want you to do. Now, all you're going to do is split a little bit of the grey right there and then weave your thread through your piece, your stitches there. Now, check the front that you can't see your work, but what I've done is make sure this is correct before doing this. I haven't just weaved it in under the same threads. I have split the pink yarn inside as well. All right, that will stop your ends from ever coming out when you split. Okay, so pull that thread through. Yeah, then you're going to go back in the same direction. Remember, we crocheted over it once. Yeah, we've sewn it through twice. When you go back, once again, you find a little thread to split there. And when you're going through that center, which will be very thick now, you will find it a little bit troublesome, but that's normal. It's because it's thick, yeah? Oh, I've got the wrong needle too, it's a bit thick. But go through and make sure you can't see the needle and make sure you've split a little bit of that yarn if you want to do the same way I've done it. That will never come undone now. All right, don't pull it. All right, just keep it, sit there gently. Once you cut it a little bit, you give it a gentle tug. That tail will hide in there. It won't come out because you've split some of the pink. All right, that's the little tip that I have for this particular tutorial. Right, in the meantime, oh, that didn't work. Let's try that again. What I want you to do, every time you do a square, weave in your end. Or if you're a bit worried about if you've made a mistake and you want to go back and fix it, you won't be able to take this undone. You would have to unpick it with a needle, and trust me, it's really difficult. So if you're going to do this weaving in, make sure that everything is correct before doing that weaving in. All right. So in the meantime, I'm going to let you head off on your own and do the weaving in from now on. You don't have to worry about that anymore. We need to grab another square and do exactly what we did with the green. But I just wanted to remind you that every time you pop a square on, you grab your new colour. Right, let's try that again. Hello, there we go. You grab your new colour. I'm trying to bring it out far, but it's not. Grab your new colour. Now, remember where you are. This is how we finished our work before. We got here, we slip stitched and joined. Normally we would have flipped our work, so flip it. Then grab your tail and pop it there and work along here. The only reason is to crochet over the tail without having all the ends stuck here while you're trying to do that join as you go. It can be a little bit awkward, yeah? So that's going to stay that way. Now you're going to grab your, we'll remove the stitch marker first. Yeah. Now you're going to grab your little square again. Don't move everything, just leave it as it is. And do your 3 double crochets like normal. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to chain 1. All right. Now you grab your square that's facing you and do a double crochet in that first corner. Just 1 double crochet. Make sure it's not too loose and it's not too tight. Pull up your loop. Go to not the chain that you just did before the stitch, but go to your corresponding stitch there. All right. Pop your hook in, put the loop on the hook and pull it through like so. Yarn over your hook, do your 2nd double crochet in that space. Pop up a loop, hook on the opposite side and pull the loop through like so. 3rd and final double crochet for this corner. Pull up a loop, corresponding stitch on the other side, which is the very last stitch in that cluster set. Pop your loop on, pull it through, you've done your first set. Yarn over your hook, you're jumping into the very next space. All right, and do your 3 double crochets, starting with 1, lift up the loop, opposite stitch, and that's it. And you know how to do the rest because it's exactly the same as when we were adding the green. All right, I really love this join as you go. To be fair, it doesn't go well with a lot of things, but it does go well with this scarf. All right, and blankets. It goes well with things like this. I'm going to be honest with you, I tried it on a granny square jumper. I didn't like it. And that's all I want to say about it. I didn't like it on the jumper, but I do like it on the scarf. I found that it's a yarn eater. So you will use a lot of yarn when you're doing this stitch. So if you're going to make a sweater or something and you're joining squares for a sweater, there will be a lot of yarn. All right, so I'll do one more stitch just so that it doesn't come out, because that thread, once that thread comes out of there, it's sort of like, it's like knitting. It kind of all just comes undone. Oh, did I say the word knitting? Oh. All right, so I'm so naughty. All right, so what I want you to do, guys, very simple. You know what to do. I'm going to give you a time in a minute where you can go and repeat this corner the same way you did the green. And then you're going to head off on your own and you're going to attach all your squares exactly the same. When you get to your final square, what I want you to do, grab whatever square is your last square. Yep. Where your piece of thread is, pop your stitch marker there. Right? See how your thread is there? Once you get to your very last square, your thread will be on this side, or whatever it is, whatever corner you want on this side. Just make sure you pop your stitch marker here. So when we get to our last square, that's when we'll turn and start working along here. All right, so let's just focus on getting all our squares attached. So repeat the steps that we did for the green for every other colour that you have. Get to your final colour, get all the way around, get to your very second last space right there, meet me there, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, that's the time you need to go to complete your cream. Alrighty guys, so here we are. Check it out. It's very long. All right, and I asked you all to get around here. Yes? All right, so what I want you to do now is got to try and keep it on the table and off the table at the same time. So bear with me with this, guys. It's really long now. So we are here, and I have one double crochet short for the last set. Don't you love it when she messes up, yeah? Don't you love it? All right, so here we are on our last set. Remove your stitch marker, and I asked you to get to exactly that spot where your stitch marker is, and you are completing your cluster set like normal. Popping into your corner. But now that we're not attaching any more squares, we're going to turn and go along this side. All right, so let's do exactly that. Now I can feel the scarf falling, so give me 1 second, guys. It's a little awkward being so big now. All right, that's better. Just put it on the table. Doesn't affect you, it affects me. And finish off your corner. She's a chatterbox, guys. She is. 1 and 2, and we're doing our last 3 double crochets in that corner, like so. Very simple. You know how to do the corners. You've been doing them all along. Now, what we're going to do, and what I might do is actually pop this on fast. I would like you to do all your cluster sets until you get to your second last. Now let's just pop a stitch marker in there. All right. So go along and do all your cluster sets. I'm going to pop this on fast for you so you don't have to sit here and watch me doing it. But I don't want to head off because it's only a very short side. Alrighty guys, so I asked you to get to the space before your corner. Now let's get a nice close up so you can see what we're doing here. So you're doing that last space before the corner. And as you can see, our corner is filled with stitches. There. All right. So what we have is your two corners, and then we have our sets that are still there. This is where it can get a little tricky. You're going to put your 3 double crochets in there. It's not that it's tricky, it can be a little awkward doing the very next step. So pop your 3 double crochets in your corner, and that's actually to finish your corner. But what you're going to do here is, because you already have a chain in the middle there, all you're going to do is chain 1. And remember that double crochet here, and then we chained and turned, or the other way around, yes. You need to pop your hook, and it might be a little difficult to see, I'll give it a stretch, in the chain that you did. All right, it's a little tricky. All you're doing is popping your hook in and doing a slip stitch over, but you want to pop it through 2 loops, which can be very tricky. I don't know if you can see that. I'll show you a close-up in a minute. So right there. See, my chain is fairly tight, but if you can get 2 loops on top and 1 on the base, and then you pull your loop through like so, and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Chain 1. Jump into your corner and complete that corner. 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to let you head off on your own because I would like to show you again, but what I will do, that section there, and you can see how it's completed both corners, and you still have your chains, 1 there and 1 on the other side. So you have your chain in each corner. However, what I want you to do, I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do this on fast, it's better to do it on your own. Just get to this section here. Yes, keep going, do your clusters across here. Wait for me there, and I'll show you one more time, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so I asked you to get to the end of your pink side where that stitch marker is, and remove your stitch marker, popping your 3 double crochets in the space like so. 2 and 3. Alright, so we are here at the corners of our piece. We're going to pop our first set of 3 double crochets in there. Let's just smooth that out the way so it doesn't blur for you. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. Alright, remembering to chain 1 to slip stitch, and then chain 1 to get into the next corner. All right, so chain 1, and this is your double crochet from your previous row. This is your double crochet in your next row, and right in the center there, that one right there is your chain stitch. You need to find 2 threads, however. Pop your hook in and pull a loop through, and see how it's gone through that stitch. Chain stitch, pull it through, chaining 1, complete the next 3 double crochets for your next corner of your white square. All right, so it can be a little tricky only if you did your chains too tight. All right, but if you left them too loose, it can also look a little gappy. So you needed to have pretty much the same tension throughout. All right, so what I'm going to do is leave a little time up there at the moment, and I would like for you to, let's grab our stitch marker again, go all the way across. Look at that. Actually, we don't need the stitch marker. Go all the way across, get to your second last space, wait for me there, because once we slip stitch to join in this stitch marker here, we are going to do a border round. All right, so let's do that. Head off on your own and complete this whole side. It's going to take you a little while. Meet me back here once you're done, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, complete that row, get to that stitch marker, meet us back here on Monday morning where you will get to create the gorgeous border round for your scarf. Very exciting. Thank you very much again, Anne McSee and Green Butterfly, for your colour combination. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. For your colour combination in today's tutorial. Oh, a little bit too tight. a very special thank you to the ladies. Now, if you wanted to be a part of Wow Crochet Designs and choose the colour combination of the very next tutorial, please join us on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time. We have lives every Saturday morning where we get to do a thing called Live Antics, and you as a subscriber, or one lucky subscriber, gets to choose a colour combination of our next tutorial. In reference to this scarf right here, I chose 2 subscribers because there was a lot of colour involved, and I wanted 2 subscribers to help us choose that colour combination for our stash busting scarf. But I want to thank everyone for joining us. Don't forget to join us on Monday for part 3, the final part of your granny square scarf, the border round. Ciao for now.